particularly this last set of games from Orlando on, I thought we regained the competitive spirit that we had for a lot of the year, even though it was a struggle to win games. And it's been what we've stood for the last 2.5, 3 years. And so, difficult year. Detroit is a great team, and they're almost fully intact. They got everybody except Duran, and it was a very difficult game, but our guys fought really hard and got it to 6 at the end, and the crowd stayed and was into it. We couldn't have asked for much more. So proud of them. Dale Davis was here tonight watching the game. Some of you guys may have seen, brought him in the locker room and introduced him to the team. One of the great warriors in franchise history, and a guy who would have really coveted playing in a game like this against a bruising physical team like Detroit. So that was a bright spot too. And so now we got exit meetings tomorrow, and then we're into a long summer, which will be different, but probably needed to make sure that we can fully recover from all the different things that have happened, the ailments, a lot of stuff with Tyrese, and he's doing really well, but it's a process. So we'll look forward to that, and whatever else you guys got.
You've called this year rough many times. In what ways do you feel like the challenges you guys faced this season can help you in future seasons?
Well, it's a humbling year, and there's a saying: you're either humble or you're going to be humbled, or you're about to be humbled. And after last year, just the rash of things that happened was humbling enough. And then we start 1-13, and really our guys played their butts off the entire year. And so I was just proud of the way the guys stuck with it. And we learned a lot about the group, as I mentioned, before the game, and that will go a long way toward figuring out the roster for next year.
In what ways were the challenges for you? Did they force you to be more creative, and how do you feel like you improved as a coach throughout all this?
Well, you've just got to decide at some point to find the opportunity in a difficult, adverse situation. With adversity, there are always seeds of opportunity, and when things are really, really bad, there's even more opportunity. But it doesn't feel like it. But you choose what you focus on, and so pretty early on, it was pretty clear we needed to focus on positives. We needed to really coach this group with a very positive approach. We had to carefully monitor minutes because of the war of attrition that the injuries, the situation the injuries put us in. All the hardship contracts, and having 8, 9 guys, and you're playing top teams in the East and in the West, and it's just having to overplay guys' minutes. Quentin Jackson's first hamstring injury happened in a game against Milwaukee where he was playing too much, and so we had to monitor that stuff very carefully, and we just got to get back to full strength as best we can. Use the summer to the best ability that we can as a staff and as a team, and certainly from the management side, and move forward.
To that end about the summer, Pascal said many times he hopes that no one thinks that just because you guys might be healthier next year, things will go back to how they were. What do you feel like you would need to do as a coach to drive that point home or make sure that you guys hit the ground running next year?
Well, I'm sure, each of the last 2 years, at the beginning of the year, we heard from the players, it was kind of like, look, you don't need to tell us how hard it's going to be. We know it's going to be hard. And it was hard. Each of the last 2 years, well, it's been 3 years now. 23, 24. I don't even remember exactly. I think we start off with a positive record. 24, 25 started off, 10 and 15. We went through the whole thing where not being completely healthy really disrupted our ecosystem as a team. We realized that we're a team constructed in a way where if we don't have all of our key pieces, and our key pieces are 10, 11 deep, it can really affect us. And it really is a tribute to how Kevin and Chad and Ted have put the roster together that we've been able to have success in the postseason with a team that hasn't been a tax team, but that has great chemistry and fits together in a very concise way.
You talked about that before. Have you looked at it and said, okay, there's something we need to do different so that the ecosystem isn't as fragile? I mean, you've talked before about, man, it almost feels like we need to have everybody available. Does this season in any way tell you that, okay, there's got to be something in terms of the way that it's built to, make for that it's better built for contingencies, I guess?
Well, we're always going to be looking at that. But early in the year, Obi Toppin goes out 3 games in. And look, we knew he was an important part of this. And TJ missed the first 6 weeks. Not having those 2 guys off the bench was really disruptive. Look, these guys are high-level players in our system. We got to have depth. And really, depth is one of the things that we've had success. Is one of the reasons we've had success. When we were playing all these series against, the Knicks and Cleveland and Milwaukee the last couple of years, we were going 10 and sometimes 11 deep in playoff games, So, and I don't necessarily think it's that different with other teams. You take 1 or 2 key pieces out of any team and you're gonna have some challenges.
What you mentioned knowing early that this team had to be coached positively, I guess. Was there?
Well, I want to be careful.
Sure.
I think we always coach them pretty positively,
right.
But it had to be, even more so because the guys that were playing were unfamiliar. They were not. They were unfamiliar. They didn't know our system exactly. We were tooling and retooling early to adjust to the personnel that we had, and the guys were great about hanging with it. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, was there a moment, I guess, whether it was an injury or something like that really kind of drove home how tough it was going to be to turn this thing around? I mean, do you remember like anyone in particular thinking like, oh, really, we're losing that guy too? I mean, like, what are the moments that you look back at and think those were the times where I thought we were going to have this was going to be a different track?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to look back too much because I think. I believe it's looking forward is always the best thing. There's that whole metaphor about the windshield being huge and the rearview mirrors being small, and for a reason. When we were going through it early, and Aaron got hurt in Phoenix, and that was scary the way that looked.
Yeah,
and it turned into a 7 or 8 week thing, and it could have been significantly worse. That was very concerning. But then. With all the return to play stuff, you have a process there too. So, look, health is always going to be at the top of the list of priorities. Some things are out of anyone's control, but there's a science to all this now. We'll use the data that we have available. The way we train this summer, we will adjust. Based upon the way the game has changed, and we've studied that a lot during the year, and we'll continue to study it. And everything's changing all the time. I mean, the NBA game is changing by the week and month. It's not by the decade or the 5 year 5 years here and there. It's adapting all the time.
The last one from me. What did you like about how Obi, in particular, finished the season? Just considering he wanted to play till the end, get a rhythm. Obi.
Oh, Obi, yeah.
To get normal, make it feel as normal as possible going into the regular season. Obviously, goes for 21 tonight. Just what do you like about how he approached the end of this?
Yeah, Obi's situation is one of the real positives because if you remember, it took him like 4 games to make a 3-point shot. After sitting out 3.5 months, and regaining rhythm. And with when you regain rhythm, you refresh your confidence and your feel and all those kinds of things. And tonight was, a nice way to top it off with him shooting the ball the way he did, playing the way he did. And then, you know, the decision not to put him back in the game was an easy one. Same thing with Quentin. I mean, Quentin was playing well, but he was at the threshold where you're getting into danger zone. He's at 29 or 30 minutes.
Rick, when it comes to a season like this, and obviously the results aren't what you wanted them to be, how do you grade the process throughout all of that when maybe the end result isn't where you are used to being?
I think it'll take some time. You know, so much of this was about maintaining a great spirit through the difficult challenges, and as I said, you know, the San Antonio game that sucked. That was really difficult, and we had a real difficult conversation with our veteran guys the morning of the Orlando game about where we were, and what we needed to do to get back to the compete level, the spirit, and everything that we had built over the last 3.5, 4 years. And they understood it. They took it to heart, and really over that next, I don't know, was it 2.5 weeks, however we finished the season, very positive, and I was really happy for the players. I mean, you know, in most ways, we ended on a positive note.
Obviously, you all don't want to be in this position, but we know about the draft lottery, the standings, and things like that. How much do you think potentially a top 4 pick could help push this team forward in the future?
Yeah, that's obvious, you know, but we don't control that. And, you know, if it doesn't happen, there's a contingency plan to build the team up too. So we're going to view it as a win-win situation. You know, we got Zubats here, who's going to be a terrific player for us. And, you know, if it turns out we don't get one of the 4 picks, then we fulfilled a pretty significant part of of what we owe the Clippers, and we've gotten a center, and we probably, you know, have the ability to go get some other veterans. We'll have to see, and that's really a KP question. But you know, that's my understanding of it, and you know, it's a win-win thing, and that's how we got to look at it.
Coach, now the Pacers season is over, but the Fever season will start in a few weeks. They brought back Kelsey, Lexi, Sophie, along with Caitlin and Aaliyah. How excited are you for this season? Very excited.
Congrats to the Fever on getting those contracts done. I mean, those players are very important, and you know, this has got to be a crazy time in the WNBA with free agency and the draft's coming up tomorrow. You know, and a lot of the girls that played in college are going to go right from college right into playing in a pro training camp. That's extremely challenging, but Stephanie White is one of the greatest coaches in the WNBA, and it will go down in the history of the WNBA. She will be one of the greatest ever. I totally believe that, and I already believe it. So, and I thought their run in the way they piece things together with similar challenges last year, you know, to get to the second round and almost to the finals, that was inspirational, you know. So a lot to be excited for with the Fever, you know, Caitlin being back, you know, Aaliyah, Kelsey, Lexi, and Sophie.